Hi there, welcome to Terrorland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Scorpio energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Scorpio energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy. Because we all have free will to make decisions in our life. So we have our dualistic nature, and some people could be struggling within themselves to make a decision, and they're kind of going back and forth. The high vibe energy, do I have hope and faith and belief in myself and in my dreams? And the bottom row can just represent our fears or insecurities or wanting to stay in our comfort zone. And other people are moving forward in life differently. And, when we work through some issues, we heal or grow or mature ourselves, look at life differently, we're ready to face our fears about moving forward in life differently. And Scorpio is represented by the Death card as one of the cards, and it's about death and transformation, like detaching from an old way of viewing life or living life or habits or ways of viewing ourselves or the world or other people or something. And we kind of detach from that old way of living life because we're not the same person that we were when we could have gotten involved in some situations in our life. And some people, it takes work and effort to kind of do that, and some people don't want to see the truth, don't want to do the work it takes to free themselves from things that maybe manipulate them. Might be more about themselves or more about the world or ego or image or indulgence. So anyway, we all have our Scorpio nature. Scorpio can be wanting to explore the mysteries of life, wanting to be in more deep, meaningful relationships. Some other people don't want to explore the mysteries of life. They like to keep doing things the way they've been doing it. Could like to keep their emotions kind of buried beneath the surface some, because we are these emotionally complex human beings, and it is confusing. And some people prefer, I just don't want to deal with it. I'll use my emotions to whatever degree I need to use them, but not my thing. So, in the top row, the reason for this row coming out is because of the Six of Swords, which is Aquarius energy, which kind of has to do with our dreams and how we view life, and are we more about ourselves and looking like a shining star in the world, or just caught up in the world still? Or do we kind of look at life from a higher perspective and think there's more to life than just making our life about ourselves or these things of the world, that there is a higher purpose? And we could have been in relationships with people that their truth is different than our truth. How they view life, their dreams, their aspirations. Sometimes it's just simple things like, I want to live in a big town, you want to live in a small town. I'm really motivated to put in some work and effort to attain some of my dreams, and other people kind of could have not interested or gave up on their dreams or something. Anyway, harness your Aquarius energy differently. So in the top row, we have the Knight of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune, the Star card, which is also Aquarius, and the Five of Swords, which is also Aquarius. So Aquarius is a big influence in Scorpio energy right now. High vibe people did some inner work, because that's what the Knight of Pentacles can talk about in high vibe. They did some inner work to deal with the Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords. It can be mental conflict. It can be being more caught up in this worldly dream, or I did have a dream. I might have wanted a certain job or friendship or relationship to move forward, and maybe it didn't. I could have been moving forward in something, and then some other people in the situation, had some mental conflict, maybe about the truth. Because for the Five of Swords to go to the Six of Swords, we need to add the Ace of Swords. And some people are just kind of in a mismatched kind of relationship. They both could be high vibe people, but we can all have the best of intentions, right? We can get in a job, a friendship, a romantic relationship, and everybody's thinking, yep, I'm on the right track, we're on the same page. And in a lot of ways we could be, but then maybe as things keep moving forward, just not sure. We come in contact with all these different people to help us get clear about more about our truth, what our truth is and what our truth isn't. Other people get in relationships with people. This whole life journey is about trying to help us get more clear about what our truth is and what our truth isn't. We could be in jobs or relationships with people that by worldly standards looks like it would be victorious and successful. But do we love the job? Do we want to stay in that job? What about the people we are in relationship with or that we work with? Are some of those people kind of more ego-focused, image-focused, have a problem with the truth? Which in high vibe, the truth is that, we work together with people in a just and fair manner. If it's romantic, that love is supposed to be where you treat other people the way you like to be treated. And we can all get in those situations, and then it's like, Or we get in a relationship or a job, and we thought a dream was going to come into reality, that we were all going to be invested in putting in work and effort to bring that dream into reality. And then the other person seems to have some mental conflict about bringing that dream into reality. It's like, well, are you on the same page or are you not? Or is this going to move forward the way I thought it was going to move forward? Well, how did you think this was going to move forward? This is what I thought. I thought we were on the same page. And then, some of the relationships will work through that. The 5s and the 7 can talk about conflict that happens, because it's one thing to get in something, and then to put in work and effort into something, but we've got to work through those transition points. It's like, are we still on the same page? Are we both, just checking to see if you're on the same page. And as we're moving forward, some people in our life, friends, family, people at work, social, whatever, some of those people we are still on the same page with, and we'll keep moving forward with them. But at any point in time in our life, we can move forward with people, and then some people, who could have been moving forward with us, that could be where they're just not sure maybe if they're ready to move forward in that way, or maybe it does require them to look at life from a different perspective, which is what Aquarius energy can talk about. Maybe some people they can be loving people and they can be authentic and all those good things, but they still could be a little bit more where I just don't think there's any higher truth or justice to aspire to. I kind of think we're here on the planet and, it's to make our life about these things. There is no higher truth. And sometimes that can be a conflict in a relationship. You just look at life differently, and I don't even I think you live in illusion, to think there is even a higher truth, and so that can be a problem. As some of you are moving forward, you could be investing in moving forward in something. Some of the people in that environment, whatever it is, some of those people, say you got a new job. Some of those people could have not sure, they were moving forward in it themselves. And just like, say you become a person in a friend group, or you're moving forward and you meet someone and maybe it's romantic. And then it's like, we also want to see the 5 of Swords comes after the 2 and the 3 and the 4 of Swords, which is Libra energy, about what we think is just and fair. Do we try to more manipulate and control people? Are we kind of more egotistical, more ego-driven, indulgence-driven, whatever? And as you're moving forward, other people are going to see you moving forward. As you're already moving forward, you're going to see other people kind of moving forward in life. And it is to kind of maybe get to know people. The pentacles can be about bringing something into the 3D world. The swords can talk about communicating. So you get to know people, people get to know you. Anybody who's been in relationships with some people who were more, the reason for the bottom rose reading is the Knight of Swords, which can be defensive, but the Knight of Swords is also Gemini energy, about our dualistic nature, knowing that some people are kind of more aligned with their worldly, shadowy, or egoic, or immature, or lazy, or self-indulgent nature, and other people kind of have worked through some of those things. And, anybody who's moving forward in a more high vibrational way only wants to keep moving forward with other people who are kind of in that energy. And so we can get to know people to find out what their truth is, right? And just like you might do that towards people who you might meet as you're moving forward, people from your past and people from your present and people from your future, if you've already been in relationships with people who are more, harness a little more shadowy Scorpio energy, you're going to want to get to know them, basically saying, I'm not repeating this old pattern. I've already been in relationships with people who are kind of more shadowy. And if that's your truth, I am going to try to get to know you to figure out what your truth is. And you're going to do that with people that you meet. And the people in your life who seem to be more on the same page as you would keep moving forward with them to get to know them more. People in your life who you think are more repeating this old pattern, kind of, might have education, skills, traits, characteristics, whatever, that appeal to you, like, gee, that would be someone I think I could move forward with, or I'm attracted to, or whatever. But if you kind of realize that they offer more of just these things of the world, it's not really truth and love and being just and fair and things like that, then some of those people, even though it could cause you some mental conflict, is like, ew. And sometimes it's someone who maybe as you get to know them, there could be a lot of things that could tempt you in your ego. Like, wow, I'd look like a shining star. Wow, I'd look victorious and successful. But you've already kind of been there maybe to whatever degree. And if people are still more about the world or want to be in a relationship with you because it would make them look like they moved on, they've healed, they'd look like a shining star. It's like, I don't want someone to be in a relationship with me for those reasons. If you're not coming with the truth, so that's the difference of the Knight of Pentacles, either harnessing a more worldly Virgo energy, which anyone can harness, or a more high vibe Virgo energy. Have you done that inner work to humble yourself or your defensiveness or your immaturity or your bossy, controlling, or prideful nature to work together? High vibe Virgo would be insightful, has learned lessons in life, has freed themselves from their more worldly, egoic way of being and interacting with people, does keep things in perspective, does look at life from a higher perspective, is more just and fair and authentic and truthful and, those kind of things. If that's the case, then those would be people you would keep moving forward with. Sometimes we've moved forward and other people have moved forward in their life. They kind of have mental conflict about detaching from people in their life. They could be moving forward in new relationships and then other people kind of come along. And then people have to think about, and it's this time for pause and reflection. It's like, is this my truth? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I living my life the way I'm living it? Why are people in relationship with me? Is this more aligned with my truth? Is this more aligned with my truth? And there could be some people that could have good intentions, but there does come that time in any job or friendship or relationship, kind of, are we on the same page or are we not? Was I kind of moving forward in something, trying to ignore the truth, and kind of got caught up a little bit more in the world or in myself? And, then when we see other people on the journey of life and the way they're living their life, because we could all view ourselves as like a just and fair and emotionally mature, authentic, loving person. And then we can meet people. It's like, wow, they're more so. Well, we can either kind of learn from those people and have that, I am willing to learn lessons in life. I am not more defensive. I am a student of life. I would like to work with you and move forward with you in this way. And if during the course of getting to know people, and as we continue to get to know people, some people would be, I don't think your truth is the same as me. Could you be a lovely person? If it's a job, do I think you have good qualifications or whatever? I just don't think you're a right fit here. Same way with friendships and relationships. We all have our idea of how we like to live our life and things we like to go enjoy. So some people could be a little defensive. Sometimes people bring a truth into a situation that causes other people, again, to kind of question why they're doing what they're doing. And then they have to maybe work through their shadow nature, and maybe it kind of illuminates, because the truth and high vibe energy is about trying to illuminate the truth. And it could make some people who kind of thought they were on a path and how they viewed life, and it could kind of just even make them question how they did view life. And then, if everybody's willing to invest in the truth, and like I say, sometimes lately jobs have been coming up. I guess there's been a lot of issues in my life with new jobs and people getting let go and people leaving. And, we're looking for people who kind of seem to be being truthful, honest, have the right knowledge or skill, aren't hiding that they're more defensive or more prideful or more aligned with that nature within themselves. And maybe some of the people who they thought would be the people who would work out, those people aren't working out. Some of the people that they weren't sure of, then they could feel like, actually, I could be kind of surprised. I kind of had mental conflict with that person, I thought. But maybe then they kind of realize their own kind of perceptions and how they can view people can cause them some mental conflict. And then with some of the people, it's like, wow, no, this is the person who's more on the same page, So keep that in mind. Let's go down to the bottom row. But high vibe people, regardless of what anybody else is doing, high vibe people have learned some lessons in life. They do not want to repeat some old pattern. And as they're moving forward, trying to invest in bringing a dream into reality, we're always going to deal with people who kind of challenge our view of life. Are we going to be in our pride and ego that we're unwilling to take other people's perspectives? And then again, we come in contact with all these different people to help us get clear about our truth. As we're moving on our path, our own shadowy nature, other people in shadowy energy are going to try to stop us, because that is kind of the point of shadowy energy. Our high vibe nature and high vibe energy in general wants to give birth to new things, for things to be just and fair and authentic and loving. And there's always people in the world that are more aligned with shadowy energy that exist in the world. We're going to meet them, and our own shadowy energy is going to try to stop us from loving and believing in ourselves. Then there's other people in the world who don't want us to love and believe in ourselves. if we quit loving and believing in ourselves and believing in our dreams, then we would hang out more with them and be in a relationship with them. And then there's people who are kind of in more shadowy energy, but it would be good for their ego or their image if they were to be aligned with you or in relationship with you. And some people could think that about you. And so it's just all to work through this conflict that can exist in the world and with dealing with other people. High vibe people keep acting with character and integrity, slow, steady steps. I'm going to put in my work and effort to work together with people to bring a dream into reality. If there's people in my life who don't like that, or people in the workplace, high vibe people would just keep, you do you, and I'm going to focus more of my time, energy, and effort on the people in the world and in my social group or in my workplace that do seem to not have that mental conflict. Might I still have to work with you? Might you still be there? Yeah, but I don't have to let it cause me mental conflict. And sometimes that's why some people do things, whether it's romantic relationships or family members or friends or work people, because they're defensive. The fives can talk about change. Sometimes people were in an environment and then someone new comes along and, that can change things. When one person in a dynamic changes, it changes the whole dynamic. And then even if someone new didn't come into the mix, if people were moving along in a relationship and someone else kind of got out of their more defensive nature or healed or grew and matured themselves in some way, they're not the same person they were before. And at one point, people could have thought, oh, we're kind of on the same page, or I like. And that's sometimes when we can find out that some of the people we were in a relationship with, they can present themselves as high vibe, like we're going to bring this dream into reality. And they give the impression it's based on like truth and love and justice and fairness, depending on what kind of relationship it is. But then if you do work within yourself, or someone does, and then they've kind of looked at life from a higher perspective and have kind of more hope and faith and belief in themselves, then sometimes that can bother other people. It's like, well, no, I liked it when you... So they'd be a little more shadowy person, but they don't like to view themselves as a shadowy person. But they kind of liked it when people more looked up to and admired them, or maybe made it more about them. And then as other people do this work within themselves and they do want, the sixes can talk about a more balanced relationship. That's when some of the people in our life that we did view as more just and fair, that we wanted to have a dream come into reality with, who we could have looked up to and admired, when we do that work within ourselves to work through our own issues, to kind of be more on the same page as them, then they don't like that. Because then the relationship dynamic changes. And again, as people grow and heal and mature themselves, some people who kind of could have been on a high vibe kind of way of living life, but the divine knows that there's kind of a little shadowy thing built in there that they maybe haven't wanted to see the truth of. And then that can kind of be illuminated if other people heal or grow or mature themselves or gain some skills or education or something where they're kind of able to perform at maybe a more advanced level. Then some of the people who kind of like to be head of the show kind of can have some mental conflict with it. And then they have to decide if they are going to do this work within themselves to really be who they present themselves as being, or are they going to not move forward in it and be defensive and maybe kind of combative because it would require them to kind of go to the next level and change. You know, it's one thing to think other people have things to learn, but and some people were like a shining star, but then if someone else comes along and they seem to know some things, it can cause a problem. And then the high vibe people actually could go down in more shadowy energy because they have a problem with the truth. And so then they could act in these more shadowy ways, and they end up repeating an old pattern while some other people move forward in life differently. So let's go look at the bottom row. We have the Two of Wands, the Emperor, the Moon, and the Hangman reverse. So the Two of Wands is Aries energy, which can be more being about the self, but it also can be liking to be the boss, maybe being a little bossy and controlling, trying to control things, kind of being defensive to change, not wanting things to change, kind of creating an illusion that they don't operate from ego. But, and in a lot of ways, they could act like they don't operate from ego, but that's when, you know, it's hard for all of us to change, right? I mean, oh, I just hate it. I don't have it going on where I work right now, but I mean, I would hate to work somewhere where it's like, oh my gosh, we're getting a new computer system. It's like, oh my God. Like, especially it's like, it is so busy the way it is and all the errors and trying to learn. I don't like it. But it could be kind of an example like that, but it can just be new people coming into the mix. It can be a problem. And some people who could have been presenting themselves again as more high vibe, like, no, I look at life from a higher perspective. No, I'm not bossy and controlling. No, I'm not kind of more about me. And then, but the divine wants the truth to be illuminated. And if those people do this work within themselves and see the truth that if I kind of make it more about me and my own, the moon can talk about fears that I have, my fears of looking at life differently. And when the hangman is this way, it can either be that people feel stuck, or there was, you know, we can go through long periods of time where nothing challenges our way of viewing life. And so then we kind of feel in control and kind of feel like we're the boss and kind of feel like things are going on the way we want it to go. And then what if someone comes into the environment that kind of makes and might force people to deal with, maybe that person is more intuitive and in high vibe, the knight or the hangman would be people who aren't more stuck and maybe operating more from pride and ego, that have been illuminated to some truths, just where they're not kind of more about themselves, not more caught up in the world, not more caught up in their ego, that they really are someone who could shine bright in the world in some way. Either they do have skills, talents, are attractive, but they also could just have a way about them that is different. Because we all kind of can be a little caught up in the world and the ego and the image, and people we could hang out with and work with could kind of be similar in a lot of ways. And then someone could come in that just really kind of views life differently, and it kind of challenges other people's ideas about how they view themselves, how they view the world, why they live their life the way they live it. Because ultimately, high vibe energy is about being more independent, not as manipulated by people and things in the world, or your ego, or your fear, or not wearing a false mask. Because anybody can wear a false mask and try to present themselves as more high vibe than they are. And we all, at any stage of our life, view ourselves in these certain ways. And then when other people come in the mix, it's just like, oh, wow, they seem to view life differently. And it's different. And some people just don't like different and defensive to different. I like us getting people that we're friends with or that we employ or whatever that all seem to kind of hide that maybe they're a little more defensive to looking at life from any other perspective, or not so much about the world and the ego and the image, but, kind of like, let's work together to bring a dream into reality and kind of make it more than just about those things. And so anyway, that can cause some people some inner conflict, but some people, so it's kind of like harnessing a more shadowy Aries energy, where some other people are kind of more high vibe Aquarius and high vibe Aries and high vibe Virgo, and Scorpio is fixed sign energy. So we have is kind of the emotional water sign that we tap into when we're in the midst of things. And then down here we have Pisces energy, and Pisces is, I think, the emotional water sign that we kind of transition to when we're working through something to kind of close out an old way of viewing life, to look at life differently. And everybody can kind of be defensive to that, because Pisces kind of requires, it is about listening to your intuition and having hope and faith and belief in your dreams, which is kind of what Aquarius energy is. But Aquarius is fixed sign energy. And so it's hard for us to get out of our fixed ways of doing things. This is the way we've always done it. This is the way I view life. People view life this way. We should view life this way. This is just and fair, and it can be just and fair. But, for things to, just like people evolve and change over time, and we all grow and mature ourselves, and relationships grow and mature themselves over time. Workplaces grow and kind of mature themselves over time. And, for some people it can cause more inner conflict, and some people might like to think of themselves as the boss, but other people really are maybe more mature, and some of those people could have been told that since you don't really seem to invest in this dream and working together in a more just and fair manner, some people who were in a position of authority could have listened to their intuition, and they weren't going to keep staying stuck with some people who they felt like, you turn your back to this dream. You don't really seem to kind of go with the flow, keep things in perspective, kind of be one of the people who offers encouragement. It's kind of like, I know I've worked at places where it's like being under a black cloud. They're bossy, they're controlling, they're prideful, they're stubborn, and it's a negative and manipulative and egotistical. Is just like, oh my gosh, we all thrive best if we're in a sunshiny environment. Can we not? Everybody can be stressed, everybody can be whatever, but can't we treat people with respect and be encouraging and kind? I gotta spend 8 hours of my life with you or more. Do I want to be in relationships with people who are unwilling and turn their back on listening to their intuition and kind of being more just and fair and having a little bit more hope and faith and belief in people? And, does it always have to be more about them? And, there's always people that are like that. And eventually some people are like, you can live your life like this if you want. You can be more about yourself. You can try to create an illusion you're a more mature person or stable person or loving person or whatever. that you want. But I could have moved forward with you in some type of relationship dynamic, and I had mental conflict about continuing to move forward with you. So, and other people could be in that kind of situation right now. And some high vibe people, I'm not going to keep staying stuck in a situation where I also think people are hiding the truth. And they're maybe not being more authentic. And, sometimes it can be people who like to present themselves like they're willing to put in this work and effort to bring a dream into reality, but one person or other people are putting in the work and effort to bring the dream into reality, while some other people seem to think they're the boss and like they don't have to put in that work and effort. And shadowy energy would be, I kind of think I should be indulged in this situation, and I think it should be maybe more about me. And that can be some people's truth. I think it's more about me. If I have this illusion and I'm kind of full of myself, or think I'm the boss in some regard, even in friendships or relationships, that should be more about me. They kind of have, then they harness shadowy Pisces energy, where they kind of have this illusion about what it means to work together with other people. And they're just people who are unenlightened to the truth. And they might have a lot of growing up and maturing to do. And other people see the truth of it. I did try to offer you truth and love, and I'm going to keep moving forward. Does it cause me mental conflict to leave some of those people behind? And I wish at one time we could have all gotten along. Maybe everybody was making good decisions to whatever level of life they were at. And then, at any stage of a relationship, it does challenge people in their belief systems about how they view life and how they view relationships. And if it would require some people to stand up for themselves and speak their truth and become more independent themselves and live their more authentic life, or believe in themselves, and they'd have to just stand up to their more shadowy, egoic nature that kind of manipulates them, or other people in their life that manipulate them, could be unwilling to do that. And then it causes a mental conflict, and it also could cause a mental conflict because it kind of does require them to look at life differently than, and if they were someone who kind of thought it was more about being caught up in the worldly illusion, this is what we're supposed to make our life about. And we all present ourselves as these high vibe people who really do believe that there's more to life than that, but we maybe really don't. And we're really kind of more about caught up in the illusion of the world and our ego and our image, and being in relationships more for the status or the ego and the image, and creating this illusion in the world, but never having been in a relationship with people who really challenged us to kind of put into practice what we preach. And then when it does challenge that, well, no, I want to keep moving forward, just living life the way I've lived it, and creating this illusion that I am someone. I'm not bossy, I'm not controlling, I'm not more about me, I'm not more about ego and image, or money is more important than love. Then if someone comes along who challenges that belief system, they become defensive to those people because they want to keep moving forward happily in their illusion that no, I'm not more shadowy, but the way to get rid of their mental conflict is I just move away from people who are living more life in that truth. And that bothers me. It makes me question how I live my life. I don't like it. I'm going to be defensive to them. Hopefully they'll go in shadowy energy. Hopefully they won't see through the illusion, because like some people could tell other people, this is why I don't want you to work here, or why I don't want to be your friend or stay in a relationship with you. And people can be confused is what the moon card can be. It's like someone trying to confuse you about the truth. But high vibe people did that work. Well, just people act just and fair. People who are warm and loving are warm and loving. People who are keep things in perspective, keep things in perspective. But there could definitely, and high vibe people saw the truth of it. It's like, you do you. If you're more about, you want to live your life the way you live it, but I see the truth that you're more about yourself or this illusion of how you view life that makes you feel like you're this just and fair and authentic and loving person. But I don't think that's really your truth. So I'm moving on. And does it bother me? Yeah, because I thought a dream was going to come into reality here if it's like romantic or even a friendship, right? Or people in your life, whether they're your adult children or siblings, right? I think your truth is different than my truth, but that's okay. It generally doesn't bother us that much in a way. It's like they are who they are, I am who I am. It's more of a problem if it's someone that was like a long-term friend and we thought we'd be friends forever, or a romantic relationship. Or for some reason, which could have been hiding the truth that, and we just didn't realize it initially, that some people were really just more about themselves and how it benefited them. And it really wasn't based on truth and love. And then we go through all that situation with it. People who are just and fair act in a just and fair way. People who either people are hiding the truth and trying to confuse me about the truth, confuse other people about the truth. High vibe people offer the truth to people. They don't want people confused and in mental conflict. And as some of you are moving forward, you could, if you at one time had been more caught up in the world or defensive or needed to heal or grow or mature yourself or whatever, you have to get out of your ego and humble yourself to admit, I was a fallible human being who had lessons to learn. And if there was people in my life at one time who could have moved away from me because I still had some lessons to learn, well, then when I do see through the illusion of it and I grow up and I mature myself, I'm willing to offer that to other people. And just like other people could do that with you. But, you kind of got to work through your mental conflict about if you think they're really telling the truth or not, or if it's just an illusion again, or a new person trying that has those same. But the whole thing is, if we learn lessons, one of the lessons to learn is to stand up for ourselves and make good decisions in our life. Take the lessons that we've learned to stand up for justice and fairness and ourself and our dreams. And sometimes that's enough to make other people like, oh shit, I need to go. Yeah, no. Oh, so tell people your truth. I was in some relationships with people who were bossy or controlling, and I didn't love and believe in myself, or I was caught up in the worldly illusion. I thought those things could make me happy, and then I got in them or indulged in those things, and all it did was cause me mental conflict and stuck, and I had to do this work to work through it, to see through the illusion and believe in myself and love myself, and I look at life differently now. And then I offer that to other people as I'm moving forward. And people from my past, people from my present, people that I meet as I move forward, it could challenge all those people about some of them. If they were people that I already knew, some of those people could be like, I've changed. I'm happy that you learned that lesson, but I've moved on. And we, in turn, could say that to other people. Well, I'm happy that those things don't manipulate you anymore. I'm glad, you got out of whatever situation was kind of manipulating you. But, we don't want to do it out of pride and ego. We want to do it in truth and love. And that's why some people, it could cause a mental conflict because it does kind of make them kind of question why they are doing what they're doing and who are they moving forward with and why are. And am I really aligned with my truth? Or, am I a loving person or a just and fair person? And people are moving forward with me and people invested in me, but their truth is kind of different than my truth. Wait a minute, and it's kind of shaking up the puzzle piece of life and the puzzle board to get the right parts matched with the right parts, right? And the right people with the right people. And it can cause everybody some mental conflict. And if we see the truth that some people were not on the same page, it can cause us some mental conflict. But people do this work within themselves to not stay stuck in their ego about it. I accept that some people view life differently than me. Their idea of the dream life or the dream relationship is different than my idea of the dream life and the dream relationship. And what we think is just and fair is different. And what's more important to us, the world or ourself or love and a balance or whatever is different. And I believe that the divine has a plan for my life. And I'm going to listen to my intuition about who seems to be defensive, who seems to be trying to confuse me about the truth, who seems to be authentic, who seems to work with me cooperatively, and that's all I can do. And I'm going to make just the best decisions that I can make, and other high vibe people are going to do that, and kind of just wish people peace. The people who are moving forward with me in this way, great. Let's do it all for the right reasons. The people who aren't, maybe one day you'll work through whatever is going on and you'll come with. I wish you peace. But what is coming up for people who harness some high vibe Scorpio energy that they might not see coming? Okay. Well, I'm going to put those back because it was like 5. I don't want 5. Just 1, 2, or 3 is good. But as you're moving forward, kind of loving and believing in yourself and keeping things in perspective, there's other people who don't like it because they wanted you stuck and defensive. Because then you would be in a relationship with them, hang out with them, they could maybe manipulate or control you because of your inner conflict about being more independent from them. And high vibe people are like, you can keep being in that energy if you want, but I will be just moving on past you, and you do you, and I'm moving on. The Page of Cups. Why? Because of the 8 of Cups. So, the 8 and 9 and 10 of Cups is Pisces energy. The 8 of Cups moves away from the 7 of Cups, which is Scorpio energy. And people who harness their Scorpio energy differently than you. Which some people, they do try to use the love that they know they have for you to try to manipulate you and control you. Well, that's not very loving. If they're being bossy, controlling, not being truthful, being deceptive, being defensive, being immature, being egotistical, it's like, grow up. And until you do, I stay in the energy of love, but I keep offering myself that cup of love to not indulge in the illusion. And I'm not going to indulge you in your illusion that this is a just and fair way to act in a relationship when it's not. And I'm going to kind of keep my distance from you, probably. I wish you peace, but I am going to keep getting more and more independent from you emotionally, because I could feel like you use your emotions in a shadowy way, or you have some issues to work through, issues that I could have already worked through. And some of those people could be your own age and you find them kind of immature. Some people could be young people, and of course you know that they're not going to view life the same way you do, and they are going to be more about themselves, and they got some lessons to learn. And it's like, hey, we've all had to learn lessons the hard way. I am sure you will learn your lessons, but if you're acting in that kind of more immature or codependent or want me to indulge you when you're an adult, again, grow up. I am moving forward with people who want to invest in this dream where we're both willing to change. It's not just my way or the highway, but we have to work together. The sixes, again, are about working together cooperatively to bring a dream into reality. I can't be the only one maintaining balance within myself, putting in work and effort to bring this dream into reality. I don't want to be fighting against people. If this isn't your dream, then go live your life. Will it cause me some mental conflict that I'll have to work through? Yes, but I will work through it and I will move on, because my dream can only come into reality with other people who are willing to offer them that couple love to work through all their defensiveness or their fears or whatever, or these illusions that they have about what it means to be in a relationship, to be more independent from that way of viewing life, to be more independent of their own shadowy nature, so we can work together in this more hopeful, believing spirit of the Page of Cups. In your Pisces, in your Cancer, in your Scorpio, all three emotional water sign energies. Are you emotionally more invested in working together with me from love and hope and faith and belief in yourself and in your dreams and in others and love? Or do you keep getting caught up in thinking it should be about you, or getting caught up in your head or your fears or your insecurities or your defensiveness or whatever? You know, I am ready to move forward. And there could be some people going through that in a relationship right now. But because the high vibe people offer themselves that cup of love to keep believing in their dreams, if there's people in their life who turn their back on them in the past, we're hurtful, we're unkind, we're bossy, we're controlling, we're stubborn, more about themselves, blah, blah, blah. At one point, did it maybe cause me a lot of mental conflict and it was hard for me to move forward in life? Yes, but I worked through it and I freed myself from it. I just see that everybody is where they're at. And life's about learning lessons, and some people didn't learn some lessons that some other people learned. But I'm not going to let people who are kind of in shadowy energy keep stopping me from believing in my dreams. I'm not going to emotionally invest in those people anymore. And then some of those people are mad. Well, I did want that dream. I did want to move forward with you in a relationship, but you were supposed to indulge me in my defensiveness or my ego or my bossy or my immature ways of being. It's like, yeah, I saw the truth of that. And I wasn't willing to keep doing that. I was offering truth and love to help you, but I can't make you change. I can't make you have hope and faith and belief in love. I can't make you have hope and faith and belief in yourself. I can't make you believe in more than just this world as being the most important thing. I think there is a higher truth and purpose to being on this planet than just us being like animals indulging ourselves in our lust and our greed and our pride and our ego. And if that's your truth, then my dream can't come into reality with you. But some of those people don't like it because it'd be like a dream to be in a relationship with you. Well, I want to be in a relationship with someone like me. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who has mental conflict about, who wants to kind of be indulged in their more immature, defensive, egoic, fearful, whatever ways of being. I want to be in a relationship with someone who's worked through those things, who is not manipulated by those things, who wants to work together with people, being authentic and loving and warm and encouraging and supportive, because they've been enlightened to the truth that is the just and fair way to be in a relationship. But for some people, that's not their truth. No, you're supposed to indulge me. It's like, go find someone else to indulge you. And some of those people right now are trying to manipulate and control someone else from being enlightened to the truth about who they are. And they're creating an illusion about maybe why they're defensive and why the dream really isn't coming into reality the way the next person they got in a relationship with or at a workplace. Oh, no, no, it was those other people. I am this just and fair person and blah, blah, blah. And I put in this work and effort. But they have a lot of mental conflict about, I don't know, working together with people in a more cooperative way because they're still kind of full of themselves or something. High vibe people are moving on with people who want to work together with them in that way. What's coming up for people who might harness a little more worldly, shadowy energy that they might not see coming up? Oh, and for you high vibe people, I think as you keep being in that energy, will some people have mental conflict about it? Yes. Will some people turn their back to you? Yes. Will some people go find someone else to be in a relationship with or be defensive to you? Yes. If they do not want to see the truth of their own shadowy behavior, or they're defensive to love because you can get hurt doing love, and that's not their truth, then they're going to go get in relationships with other people. But there's other people who do see the truth, and there's other people that will do this work. And it's like, why do I do this? Why do I hang out with these people? Are people being deceptive and manipulative? Are people moving forward with me and kind of indulging me maybe in a relationship or in my ego, but it's not really love? Am I indulging someone? I like to think of myself as a loving person, but did I get more caught up in the world? Am I kind of indulging someone more for ego or image? You know, is it truth and love? And some of the people will work through their own issues and they'll move forward with you. So people who are more aligned with that hopeful, believing spirit are the people who will move forward with you, because they're independent of their more defensive, egoic, emotionally immature nature. And the people who've kind of went through similar life experiences and learned these lessons, it's like, I don't want to hang out or be that kind of person. I want to be with people who I think have healed. Five of Swords after the Four of Swords. I want to be in relationship with other people who've healed. And I'm done trying to change people too. And people show me the truth of who they are. I'm no longer going to stay in denial of the truth. I'm going to invest in the truth. I'm going to get myself unstuck. The only person I can change is me. If I've offered people truth and love, and that's not their truth, I'm going to work through my own mental conflict about wishing them peace and moving on, because I have a dream. And I'm going to become independent of those people, because that is not their truth. Okay, what's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy that they might not see coming up? Okay, a card not showing itself because of the Page of Swords. So, the Page of Swords can represent Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini, the air sign energies. And there's some people that were kind of in more mismatched relationships. Gemini can be about our dualistic free will nature of what we align with. Libra can be about what we think is just and fair and what makes us feel balanced in our life. You know, some people want to keep repeating an old pattern because that's what makes them feel stable. For other people, it's making them feel more unstable because their intuition is telling them it's time to go to kind of the next stage of life. And Aquarius energy can be about what our dreams are. So, when there's people being kind of shadowy or defensive, they probably have some people in their life who would like a dream to come into reality with them. They love them. Whether it's their children, their adult children, siblings, friends, whoever. But they could have come to realize the truth that they also harness this energy differently, and maybe before they didn't know that, and that's why the card isn't showing itself. the Magician. And the Magician is Gemini and Virgo energy. What in my free will more drives and motivates me? Hope and faith and belief in myself and in my dreams and love? Or more about me and the world and things like that? And just coming to realize that in our Scorpio, in our water sign energy, in our air sign energy, in our Virgo nature, in our fire sign energy, some people realize I can't manifest my dream into reality with if you don't have hope and faith and belief in love, or you're unwilling to deal with what manipulates you and become more independent of the things that manipulate you, I can't manifest my dream into reality with you. And then realizing that kind of what drives and motivates them and their truth and how they want to move forward is different. What drives and motivates them is different. And some high vibe people in their life could feel, that they feel like someone is more manipulating them. You can get in these jobs, friendships, and relationships, and people create the illusion that this dream is going to come into reality, that we're both ready to put in work and effort. We've both detached from things in our past, but we both have to work through our issues and work through those issues so they don't keep manipulating us, so we can stand up and defend this new dream and how we're moving forward. And as time goes by, we kind of realize some people are defensive to that. It's like, well, no, I just wanted to create the illusion. I didn't really want to bring the dream into reality. I really didn't want to be more authentic or more independent. And maybe some people thought it was going to be a more codependent relationship. And some people like a more codependent relationship. I like to be the teacher and you be like the student. I like to be the parent and you be like the child. I don't want to do more equal give and take in the relationship. You were supposed to let me manipulate you. Let me maybe use the love that you have for me to manipulate you. The fact that you wanted this dream to come into reality so I could manipulate you. And it's like, well, that's not just and fair. I don't like to be in relationships with people who manipulate me. And I think you did just kind of create an illusion. And if you're not investing in me to work together with me to bring this dream, and if there's some people I could have communicated with and they're moving on with other people, or they turn their back to communicating their truth with me, well, then you're either trying to manipulate me or this isn't your truth. Either way, I'm going to work through my mental conflict and my defensiveness about it, and I'm going to keep believing in my dreams and believe that the divine has a plan for my life. I'm not going to, if people are trying to manipulate me, that's not my truth. And for some people, that's how they live their whole life, is trying to manipulate people to get them to do what they want. It's never being more authentic and forthright and loving, because they like to live maybe more from their mind than their heart, and the truth can be they really are more about themselves, and that could just be their more self-protective nature. It's like, well, I don't want to be in relationships with people like that. So I wish you peace. Some people who are trying to create an illusion and could have thought they could manipulate other people are seeing the truth that you're not stuck and you're moving on. And while they tried to manipulate you and didn't want to reveal the truth and were doing all these other things, whatever, you moved on. So some of those people, it's like, shit, I thought I was manipulating them this whole time. Well, shit, now I'm going to have to go trying to create an illusion with someone else. And again, they'll probably just hide the fact and manipulate the truth. And then they get in relationships with people, but other people listen to their intuition, and other people could have a problem moving forward with them because if you don't tell me the truth and enlighten me to the truth, maybe about why something else didn't work out and why you moved away from it, and my intuition is telling me I don't think you're telling me the truth, then those people might move on too. So it's kind of like people who had a problem being more independent, being more authentic, having more hope and faith and belief and love, get out of those relationships and they try to go get in another relationship. Those people start to move forward in a relationship. They kind of sense that they're, again, these issues are still there, but people try to present themselves as these more stable, grounded, just, fair people. They're not shadowy. And then, but the dream keeps not coming into reality, and it's like, wait a minute. I'm kind of thinking you weren't telling the truth. And I think maybe the people who might have moved on might have been the people who were the more authentic, stable, hopeful, believing, loving people. And you are maybe the person who is defensive because maybe you do like to try to manipulate and control people and be kind of more about yourself and your ego and your image or money and materialism and status than love, and it's really more about you. And then those people could be defensive to them. Some people can be really good at wearing a false mask. Some people could have a lot of status and image or be attractive or have social clout or have money or whatever they got. But you can't, people who, they can't stop other people from listening to their intuition. And if people have had enough life experience, and we all got to go through our lessons of that, there might get someone who's willing to stay in a relationship with them because that person thinks the same way they do. They also are more caught up in themselves for the things of the world, and they also could be kind of more codependent or more immature, and they're going to learn lessons from each other. But if over time, one person does that work within themselves again to stand up for themselves or get out of a more immature or codependent or more worldly focused life, that's when that relationship could end. Oh shit, that person was illuminated to the truth. They're no longer stuck. They're not willing to move forward in this relationship with their mental conflict. They did the work to free themselves. Shit, now that person left. And then they go to try to find someone else to get caught up in the illusion of who they are. And eventually it might get to be where no one wants to manifest with them because all these people have seen how they keep acting, that they never really bring the dream into reality. It can be more about them indulging themselves in their more immature, shadowy ways of being, and then other people don't want to stay in a relationship with them, and they might find themselves quite defensive. And some people who thought they were a boss and had a certain image and status in the world, that nobody would believe they were this shadowy person, just by how other people move on and live their life, it kind of illuminates who was trying to hide the truth and who is more immature, who is more bossy and controlling, who is more about themselves, and who really kind of moves forward like a shining star in the world because they know how to work together cooperatively with people. So there you go, Scorpio. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.